Victoria Field, MHS organizer, and today we have a really, really special guest, MaxLove Project, Audra and Justin Wilford, two people who have been a huge personal source of inspiration for me and really a large part of the inspiration behind Metabolic Health Summit and the incredible work that they're doing with families that are facing a childhood cancer diagnosis. Hey guys, there's MaxLove Project. Angela's jumping in here. So today we're really gonna dive into what their work is, how they kind of got started with this. And one of the most impactful things for me is that they took this horrible situation when their son was only 4 years old, and they were really able to take that situation and turn it into something so incredibly positive. And I just want to mention that 50% of all ticket sales from California residents will be going to MaxLove Project and the Charlie Foundation because we believe so greatly in what these two incredible nonprofits are doing. So if you get your general admission tickets, but then you also get tickets to the gala dinner, that's really going to be supportive of what these guys are doing in the ketogenic metabolic therapy space. So I hope you guys will join us at the gala dinner, and there's some really incredible people who will be with us during that dinner, as well as some amazing entertainment that we've got lined up. So it's going to be an evening to remember. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Can you see us okay?
Yes, I can see you guys. You're in the picture, and I'm excited to talk a little bit more about MaxLove Project, and just I was mentioning to everybody how huge of an inspiration you have been to me personally, and how you are to the team that we work with at Metabolic Health Summit, and just sort of serving as a huge motivation in what we do and why we do it. Your story was, as soon as I met you guys, I was like, these guys are incredible, and there's got to be ways that we can continue to collaborate, because what you're doing in the community for families, in through your own struggle is just unreal. So I'm excited that you're here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. And we are so honored to be involved and have been for years. And you all have helped us personally so much as well. It's like we're family.
Totally. I agree. I love you guys. So let's dive into sort of how this all came to be, MaxLove Project. I know you guys, when your son was only 4 years old, he's now, I believe, 11, which is amazing. But when he was 4, you guys were faced with something that no parent ever wants to face or hear. And if you want to explain sort of how it kind of started for you. I know when he was in, I think, preschool, he started to fall down a lot, and then sort of you guys received the diagnosis not long after that. So if you want to share with us what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. When he was in preschool, at the age of 4, the first symptom was early morning headaches and vomiting. And so he would wake up at about 5 in the morning screaming in pain, and then he would throw up for a couple of hours and then pass out. And we took him to the doctor for that about 3 times. I mean, I remember carrying him in to the doctor on towels, completely just passed out. And he was diagnosed with a sinus infection.
Oh my gosh.
And then treated with antibiotics 3 times.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that is something that is present with a lot of pediatric brain tumors. There's often a sinus infection at the same time. But we just knew something was wrong, and it progressed to the point where he couldn't walk at times, and then finally he faced some incontinence, and then he fell off of his bunk bed ladder and couldn't get back up. And at that point, we had been going to the doctor for this for about 9 months. And so I told Justin, I'm like, you got to call, because obviously I'm the crazy mom. You got to call and get an appointment. And he got an MRI. I think it was the day after, which I didn't know is very difficult to get scheduled. And, honestly, I thought he had an inner ear infection or something like that. And so that day, on August 5th, 2011, we were told that Max has a brain tumor, and we didn't know what the prognosis would be or how well he would do, but he was being rushed into emergency brain surgery.
Jeez.
And it all started there. 2 days after that surgery, when we found out that the cancer was in his brainstem, and there was some that grew out into the fourth ventricle and then into his cerebellum. So it was a very, very large tumor. We were told that by our neurosurgeon that treatment would only do so much. So we'd meet with oncology, but at some point treatment would compromise his quality of life, and we should stop at that point. We should just really focus on his quality of life. And I took that as a charge moving forward. Thank you. There's something that we can do. Let's get started. You know, let's do some stuff for him. What can we cook? What can we, you know, how can we help him recover? He was paralyzed at the time. He couldn't walk when he went home 4 weeks later. So what could we do to help him thrive through this really difficult process and the recovery?
Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like for you guys as parents. Just hearing about, I mean, I can only imagine it might have been sort of like, and I don't know if it registers right away when you're told, hey, your son has a brain tumor. I just, what was that like for you guys as parents, and thinking this is, you know, an inner ear infection? And I believe the statistics are something like 1 every 3 minutes a child is or every few minutes a child is diagnosed with cancer, and Max was that one. So what
that one in that 3 minutes, right?
It's crazy. What was that like for you guys?
I think it was different for each of us. I know for me, it took me 2 weeks to sit with the medical team and say, wait a minute, is this cancer? And they said, yeah. Gosh. They never used the term necessarily either, though, you know, but it took me a good 2 weeks to come to terms with what we were up against. What about for you?
Well, I remember feeling very disempowered in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, you're faced with all of this medical jargon, and your child's life is on the line, and you just have to trust in the doctors and the medical team. And we weren't left with really anything to do, just to sit back and hope for the best. And so it took us a couple of weeks, though, to kind of get our bearings and then say, you know, there's got to be stuff that we can do at home, outside of the hospital. We were in the hospital for almost a month with him. So once we got out, what can we start to do? And we focused on food, because Audra went to culinary school way back many years ago.
Way back.
4-star restaurants, I might add.
Not that old, but yes.
And so food was one of the very first things. We're like, well, this is something that, you know, we don't know nutrition science. I have a doctorate in geography, which does not, you know, prepare me for any of this stuff. But we knew that we could start fixing food at home that would help. I did have access to a university medical library. We started to dig into different aspects of health behaviors that we could do at home. So sleep became an early thing that we started to focus on. We were fortunate enough to be at a children's hospital where they had acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. And so there started to open up all of these things that we could do at home. Now, we let the oncologists do their thing. We let the surgeons do their thing. And then when we take Max home, we can do our thing by focusing on sleep and physical activity and acupuncture and nutrition. And so it took us a little while, but we eventually started to wrap our heads around it. And then once we did, we started to meet other childhood cancer parents in the hospital, and they were looking for the same things. And so that's how MaxLove Project was really born, is like, how can we start to share these resources? How can we start to share these opportunities? And that's how it began.
I have to say, along with that, Victoria, one of the bigger challenges that we faced, and I think a lot of families in our situation face, is that we wanted to do things that we could do. We wanted to be empowered, and complementary medicine just seemed like a no-brainer. You know, what can we do with lifestyle, and what can we do with his diet? But getting out onto the internet, hearing from people across the country, when they find out your child's story, people start writing in, they start sending in information. And we found ourselves caught in between this kind of alternative medicine world and the conventional medicine world. And the conventional medicine world was saying, you know, there's nothing that you can do to really help. So just show up for treatment and, you know, watch out for infections. And that's what your job is to do, to care for your child. And on the alternative side, we'd hear, you're killing your kid by doing standard of care.
Oh, gosh.
You should never be doing any of those things. That's a tough spot to be, and to be placed right in the middle of that. And we thought, you know, this isn't right for us. It doesn't resonate with us. We want to do everything that's evidence-based to help our child. All of the above. We don't want to exclude anything that's well indicated to help. Why would we do that? By the same token, I'm not going to go hunt down a fruit in the rainforest because Facebook told me that it's more powerful than chemotherapy. Like, I am
Right.
still responsible for a child, and that moral and ethical space is very different than being responsible just for yourself.
Yeah. And I have so much respect for how you guys kind of went about this. Not only did you take sort of this situation that you were dealing with and saw sort of other families were in need, so you decided, hey, how can we help more people that are also going through this? I know a lot of families that would have sort of gone within themselves and just focused on family, but the fact that you've now, helped so many people in this process in bridging that gap between maybe current standard of care, and what are the other alternatives that are science-based is huge for so many people. I mean, you guys are really on the forefront and pushing this whole movement forward. And part of the reason we called Metabolic Health Summit is because there are so many factors that come into play. Standard of care is important. There are a lot of therapies that work really, really well out there for brain cancer specifically. But what if we could have a conversation about some of the other things that might, not only be effective, but involve nutrition, non-toxic therapies, and at the same time give parents and people empowerment that they can actually do something day to day that makes a difference. So I know you guys are really making a massive effort in making that happen through something called the Ohana Project specifically. If you guys want to talk a little bit more about that and how that's really bridging in sort of integrative therapies and bringing that to families everywhere.
Awesome. And Justin, can you tie into that? Going along with that, Victoria, talking about this non-toxic complementary therapeutics, I think is really important to understand the risks that childhood cancer survivors face and how that's led to our Ohana Project. Justin, you want to take that?
Yeah, gosh, that's a big question. So, I guess we can start by talking a little bit about the broader philosophy behind MaxLove Project that led to the Ohana Project. So we developed a what we call the Be Super Action Plan for childhood cancer survivorship. And so these are all health behaviors that have been shown in the scientific literature to positively improve quality of life and reduce long-term health risks. And so we worked with our medical advisory board and other researchers on developing, like, what are the things that parents can do at home. And so it's the Be Super Action Plan. Each letter stands for something that parents can engage in, like diet and sleep and physical activity, social support,
mindset,
a positive mindset, mindful stress reduction. So we, over time, MaxLove Project has been a really organic organization that just meets the needs of parents as we see them. And so we started to have all these individual programs pop up, like cooking classes and dietetic consultations and hospital parties and
funding acupuncture.
Yeah, and so in 2016, our board got together and we started to discuss ways that we can make a bigger impact. The Ohana Project grew out of that as we decided we needed to find a way to bring all of our programs together into one time-limited program that parents could go through, and by the end they would understand the Be Super Actions. They would also develop closer relationships with other parents, and they would be kind of launched into survivorship. And so that's where the Ohana Project was born. It's really a program that looks to get parents together into small groups so we can leverage the social support and the social relationships that just naturally build between childhood cancer parents, get them together in these small groups, provide them with integrative resources like acupuncture, yoga, physical activity, cooking classes, and then also do health behavior education and provide daily online social support facilitated by a peer health coach. So that's the Ohana Project. And our goal, we did a pilot study in the spring with Chalk Hospital, and we're going to present the results at Farm to Fork in September. We're really excited about them.
Really excited to be there for that, by the way.
Yeah,
We're excited to have you there.
This is really the beginning of a powerful way to help parents identify their own health goals for their kids and then provide them the resources to achieve those goals and do it in a social support environment.
Yeah, and identify the health goals for themselves and their kids. So one of the things that we learned in our process of growing MaxLove Project, which really is, as Justin said, we're really a collaborative group of parents who found a void in healthcare, and it's not something the system is designed to do. Our hospitals are not designed to do this work, and so I'm not suggesting that it would be otherwise, but we do believe this complementary care is needed. And so we're this group of families and really parent activists that have come forward saying, you know, we need more, and let's study what this more is. And it's really in the space of that, I think, lifestyle medicine, as Justin put it, or preventive health behaviors. And I think one thing that's powerful is that we learned we did focus on the child for years. Cooking classes for the kids, our conversations in our support group are about the child, or about the family unit a little bit, but really about the child. And what we started to see is that if the parent isn't involved in that change and making those changes themselves, then the child is for the most part not benefiting. And in many ways, it's not trickling down to the child and the family. And so first of all, the whole family can benefit completely by our Be Super Action Plan. And then secondly, the child will really get the most benefit when the change happens in the family. So we really do need to help be there and meet families where they are, and help parents identify their health goals as they relate to their child's health goals. That was a big learning process in the Ohana Project, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so anyone who knows Lilo and Stitch knows that Ohana means family. And so the whole goal was to get families together. And the health behavior theory behind it was that parents specifically would support each other as they make these health behavior changes. We also knew that it was important for the whole family to make changes at the same time. But I think one thing we got out of the pilot study is exactly what Audra said, that it needs to start with the parents. The parents need to get their own health in order, and then it trickles down to the kids. And so this is something we're going to be taking on to the next stage of the Ohana Project.
You know, and it's been something, Victoria, that's been a challenging part of our history a little bit, because for our brand as an organization, it would be a lot easier if we were simply focused on culinary medicine. And that is that practice of really helping people with culinary literacy, developing culinary skills so that they can utilize food as medicine. That would be so great for us. But we learned through our own experience and the experience of the families going through this, that we could have our son on a pretty amazing ketogenic diet, which he has been on, you know, for years. But if he's not sleeping, and he's not exercising, and he's in a really difficult home environment, and on and on and on, it's not going to make the difference that it could make, right?
And especially so with parents too, being able to participate in those things and feeling good in the process as well, and taking care of themselves can only help the child in the process as well, which is what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. And help the medical teams. I mean, that you're sort of de-escalating stress. Parents are feeling empowered. They're a part of the team. You do get that sense that you're doing something for your child and your family. It changes the relationship in care as well in a powerful way. Now, childhood cancer survivors, very much like cancer survivors, have very little in terms of resources once treatment ends. So if you are the 4 out of 5 kids who survive treatment, then at that point, there's very little for you. There's very little for you in terms of resources and tools to be able to work on mitigating those late effects and preventing secondary cancers and things like that. So that's a void that we feel, that we are really, really passionate about. 85% of childhood cancer survivors face all kinds of overwhelming challenges like diabetes, obesity, a huge risk of secondary cancers, and organ failure.
Gosh.
But we like to say those statistics are not destiny. we can change that, and we can change those odds that these kids are up against.
Yeah, and especially too, if you can, what you guys are doing with the Ohana Project is really making sort of whole person care a part of the conversation for future generations, to where maybe if we implemented some of these things sooner, right upon diagnosis, that even after treatment is over, people would have a better fighting chance at that point to thrive. So the fact that you guys are doing this and partnering with medical institutions as well is huge. I know Chalk Children's Hospital is one. I also know you guys have teaching kitchens with 3 other hospitals as well, where you actually help educate in the process and come up with a curriculum that, you know, really supports families. If you want to explain a little bit about the teaching kitchens and how you use something called the Charlie Cart as sort of a tool in the process, that would be great.
Absolutely. We partnered with the Charlie Cart Project to utilize their mobile teaching kitchen that they've developed for school use, and it's used in a number of community centers and things like that as well, to adapt that tool for use in the hospital. And so we have, in our Culinary Medicine Collaborative, we have 4 children's hospital partners that are working on building curriculum together specifically for hospital use. So we are ending a pilot right now where we basically implemented a group of recipes together.
That's awesome.
And we're learning from the process. And it's just been an incredible process. First of all, our community of dietitians and clinicians is inspiring to be with. These are folks who want to see change throughout the hospital setting and across the country. They believe in the power of culinary literacy, culinary medicine, and using whole foods for everything that you can imagine someone being hospitalized for. So it's a really inspiring group. Some of what we're learning are the challenges of having a cooking class in the hospital. And so we're learning a lot from fire code regulations to the sanitation regulations and all kinds of different challenges with infection control and things like that you wouldn't think of. So that's been awesome. And in that learning, we're bringing all of that together, and we're going to be launching a phase 2 of this study. And that is going to be fantastic because we will have expanded curriculum with everything that we learned from these hospitals. And we'll go out, we're going to be looking for another 5 hospital partners to then pilot that curriculum with. And then after that, we would love to get this tool and this program to what we call our Fierce Foods Academy, to every children's hospital across the country. And then after that, just to everyone. It's so powerful to be in the hospital and to experience a cooking class unfold. And all of a sudden you start to smell fresh food, and people are conversing around the table, and they're having a great time and learning new skills and about new properties of foods, things that, I mean, even when it's among the dietitians themselves or among nurses or doctors, people come down the hall and they say, what's going on in here? This is amazing. There's real food here. And it's such a beautiful process. I've been inspired and honored and humbled to be involved in it even. I do think it's going to be the hospital food revolution, though. Like, I really, really do see that as we're really working with families, learning how to use whole foods in diabetes clinic and the lipid clinic and in the teen support wellness clinic for mental health, for metabolic disorders, for cancer, we're going to change the hospital food. At some point, that entire community is going to say, but what are we eating in the hospital?
Yeah.
What are we feeding our patients today?
It's so important. And
change
if
is
you look at it right now, currently, what types of foods are in most hospitals out there, but you look where sort of the nutrition science is kind of leading us. Like, we need to have a conversation around this, because we can't be saying one thing here, but have what we're actually selling not be in line with that, you know, that science. So what you guys are doing is a huge deal in making sure that this happens here in the very near future. You guys are already doing it. You're bringing it to 4 different hospitals. I have no doubt in my mind, knowing the 2 of you and how determined you are, and amazing that this is going to be everywhere. So tell me a little bit about how Max is doing. Max is going to be with us, I'm hoping, at the gala dinner. I know we briefly talked about that, which is going to be amazing. You 2 are going to be there. How's Max doing, and how has metabolic therapy and this real sort of whole child approach helped him?
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Sure, I'll go. So it's been absolutely so the metabolic therapeutic approach has been absolutely key to Max's success. So yeah, he is 11 and a half years old today. He is starting 6th grade, working at grade level,
Middle school.
Wow.
which
awesome.
for brain tumor survivors who've been exposed to a year and a half of chemotherapy and 30 rounds of conventional radiation, he is definitely defying the odds. And we believe that a metabolic therapeutic approach was really key to this. And so we got into it because as we started MaxLove Project, we started conducting cooking classes, and we started to delve into the nutrition and cancer research, and came across ketogenic diet research, and we were really interested in it, but we're like, wow, that seems pretty intense.
This was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Wow. Before there was really a lot of information on how
2012
to do this.
is when we first came across it, and by then we had started an online support group for parents. We were sharing science about sleep and nutrition and physical activity, and I had shared some articles about the ketogenic diet, saying this looks really promising. And we had a couple parents contact us whose kids, their disease was progressing and it wasn't responding to treatment. And they said, hey, what do you think about the ketogenic diet? And I said, well, I think it looks really promising. From what I hear, it's been used for a long time with kids with epilepsy, so we know it's safe. So we started to reach out to ketogenic dietitians who worked with kids with epilepsy, and we asked them if they would help cancer parents. And so we hooked up a couple of cancer parents. And for these parents who were the kind of pioneers in our group, it was really hard for them to follow the diet. There's a lot of differences, and of course the kid is still going through treatment. And but during that process, we both said to each other, if Max's tumor recurs, so at the time progresses. At the time Max was off treatment, he had a year and a half of chemotherapy. We were in a space where the tumor was stable. We said, well, if it recurs or if it progresses, then the ketogenic diet is something that we want to try alongside standard of care. And our oncologist was not on board, but luckily at the time, I again had access to a big university medical library. I collected every ketogenic diet cancer study that was out there, printed them, brought them to her, and I said, we're going to do the diet, and we would love for you to support us. And, so here's...
It was very respectful.
Yeah.
It was a respectful approach.
And we heard from her a couple weeks later. She had read the studies. She talked with neurology at the hospital who were doing the ketogenic diet for kids with epilepsy. And they're like, yeah, it's safe. It's feasible. Give it a try. And she was on board. And so we started the ketogenic diet September 1st, 2013. I will always remember that. And
this is just to know, so we did see disease progression at that point. So yes. He ended chemotherapy in a watchful waiting stage, had been stable for a while, decided, okay, we can just give him a little bit of a break. And within, by the next scan, after that, we had seen what they called spread throughout the brainstem. And so I think our oncologist at the point was like, there's not a ton else to do, right? So let's give it a try. Yeah. The kid's going to need radiation. Absolutely, everyone agrees. Second opinions, he's going to need radiation. So let's see what we can do working up to radiation, and let's see if we can get him. He was 6. Let's see if we can get him to be a little bit older. He needed a shunt and a number of other brain surgeries before having radiation. So
so the tumor stopped growing after 2 months on the diet
with no other treatment.
Wow.
And then we did radiation. 30 rounds of radiation in the spring of 2014. He flew through it. He was playing Little League at the time. So he was in full ketosis. We were checking his blood every day. He did fantastic, was able to go to school, flew through radiation with no problem. And then his response, or the tumor response to the radiation, was fantastic. And it exceeded our oncologist's expectations. We had then I don't remember all the details. We had a year or two.
Can I just say really quick? So if there are any viewers out there who are curious or familiar with this, the first thing was Max was not put on steroids during that radiation treatment because of the studies that show the ketogenic diet to be anti-inflammatory, and because we didn't want to raise blood sugar. His oncologist was very attentive to that, didn't put him on steroids at all.
Wow, that's great.
He also didn't do anesthesia for radiation either. So I think those two things were really, really impactful there. And then Max was diagnosed with a mixed grade glioma in the brainstem. So it depending on where in the tumor you took sample, it was anything from a grade 1 to a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma. So it's just completely unpredictable, from super aggressive to, it might chill a little bit.
Jeez.
just depending on where it was. And we got an opinion saying it was in progression. Basically what you're seeing in this tumor is something that when he may have had it in utero, and it may have been one thing then, and it was progressing and changing to become something else. So wow. Just for anybody who might be wondering what this kid's case is like.
So anyways, a couple of years later, the tumor progressed again. We had taken Max off of the ketogenic diet after 2 years. Yeah, after a couple of years, and because he just basically wanted fruit and he wanted popcorn, not junk, but
he wanted, like yams.
But anyways, we went off, and then the tumor progressed again, and so then we went back on the ketogenic diet, hardcore.
You were there with us at that time.
You had helped us with that.
Yeah, and, Epigenics Foundation was doing some pilot studies at the time. I can remember that we got that opportunity to kind of collaborate, and how amazing you guys were in tracking blood data and just on the ball with his program. Once you switched back on, it was, we're doing this 120%.
And then he had gamma knife radiation while in full ketosis, and his response again just blew the doctors out of the water.
They said they've never seen anything like it. So the interesting thing here is that he had gamma knife applied to the prior radiation field, right, to the brainstem and to this area, the pons, where it meets the lower area, the medulla. And what the radiation oncologist said was, listen, you have no other choice. This is not something we want to do. We can never do this again. We don't want to do it today, but we have to do it. Yeah. And our neurosurgeon said we could really expect, because of where this is, all sorts of issues for Max, from damages, nothing. He had no issues. He was playing video games 5 hours later, and the area treated was resolved in 9 months. Wow. Not detected at all in an MRI, which we were told is unheard of. It's at least like 14 months to see something looking resolved. So yeah, we believe that the ketogenic diet, if you want to look at the synergy there for radiation, that's one thing that, Dr. Sheck is researching, others, but also the neuroprotective benefits, I think, cannot be ignored when you're looking at trauma to the brain, with interventions.
Yeah, I mean, you look at where it's going with the research, right? Traumatic brain injury, ALS. I mean, this is extending far beyond just where it sort of started with epilepsy, which is exciting. There's so much more work to be done with epilepsy, I feel like, too, especially with adults and things like that. But what you guys have seen is pretty incredible. Max is thriving today as a result of it, and the relationships you guys have built in the process to get the word out to help other families is just unreal. And not only that, but you guys are also, through your organization, supporting research that's happening. Do you want to explain a little bit about that, and what you guys have done in recent years with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the research front, we have our research with the Ohana Project, and that is a wonderful collaboration with Chalk Children's Hospital. And I think that's something that we're going to be funding these cohorts for years to come. So that's awesome. Really, really exciting opportunity. And then we also are just really, really thrilled to have the opportunity to support Dr. Adrienne Sheck and in her work. And that's something that now she's at Phoenix Children's Hospital, we'd really, really love to just grow that support exponentially. We haven't been able to do nearly as much, not even a fraction as what we'd like. So I think with her being at Phoenix Children's, I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for us to really step up and do so much more for her.
Yeah, and she's going to be at the Metabolic Health Summit speaking on some of her work, and you guys will be there as well. You also have Farm to Fork coming up really soon, so I won't keep you guys too much longer. But if anybody has questions for Audra or Justin, definitely post them. And, you know, in addition to some of your events that you guys have throughout the year, make sure you guys follow MaxLove Project, because you guys host, I don't even know how, between the two of you, and I know you have a team, but they're here, there, and everywhere doing all kinds of great things, from baseball to Farm to Fork event at Chemical Farms. I just don't know how you do it, but they've got a lot of great things and ways that you can be sort of supportive of MaxLove Project. But is there anything you want to mention? Obviously, if people attend the gala dinner at Metabolic Health Summit, that will be going towards you as well as Charlie Foundation. But beyond that, and Farm to Fork, how can people support what you guys are doing?
Oh, it's a great question. So one of the biggest things that people can do that takes just a little bit of time and it doesn't cost anything is to just get online on social media, Facebook, and comment and share, and really help spread the word. I think that is an under-recognized form of activism, just getting out on social media and becoming an ambassador for the cause. I think that's huge. And as far as contributions, as people are interested in committing, as they say, time, talent, or treasure, you can get online at maxloveproject.org and get a hold of us if you have anything to give or share, or you're interested in volunteer opportunities, things like that. Just let us know. And we're really like meeting people too at the summit. I think that's going to be one of the most fun aspects, is really networking, connecting with everybody.
Yeah, it's just such a great supportive community. All the events, like, you know, even Farm to Fork, just bringing everybody together, and people from different parts of the world that are working and looking at this and a variety of things. Often, I think researchers feel like, gosh, I'm in a silo working by myself, but it's really inspiring to see all the work that's being done on different parts of the planet right now. I mean, that's really cool. And to be able to come together and talk about how we can continue to move this forward, not as a standalone maybe, but in combination with some of the other therapies that are out there, or just at least a part of the conversation, because as you guys have shown, it's such a powerful tool, one, in improving quality of life, but two, empowering people that they can do something every single day of their lives. When they face something like this, it's not just this is what's happening to you, it's like this is what you can do about it in the process that might make a difference. Is huge. So thank you guys for all the amazing work that you've done since Max has gone through this. I can't imagine as parents what it's been like, but you've turned something that was just such a difficult situation into something that's affecting so many people in such a positive way. And you're a huge inspiration behind Metabolic Health Summit. So thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you for everything and everything that you're doing to build this community and bring these connective opportunities together. It's really, really powerful, and we're honored to be involved.
We are grateful to be involved. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. And if anybody watching the replay has questions for Audra, Justin, or anything in general, you can always post below. We'll be sharing this video. And thank you guys. I will see you really soon in person, I'm sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And at Farm to Fork, especially. I can't wait for that.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
See you guys soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.